Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. You are always most welcome. Well, I'm literally fresh back from from upstairs from my Ukraine charity auction. Quite exhausting experience, I think that's the best way to put it. Had a great help from Jason at Model Kit Stuff, thanks to Jason. But it was, I've never done anything like that before, basically hosting a live auction that has raised over £2,000 from about 24 kits, I think it was. I say kits, a lot of them were paint sets in actual fact. There's actually 19 lots were in the auction. It was all for Ukraine charities, for civilian charities in Ukraine, for civilian relief. Was 75% of the funds raised for, and the other 25% was for the Four Paws organisation, which rescues animals. And I am a little bit genuinely quite exhausted, you can probably tell. And I need a drink. I've got a nice glass of wine here. I actually need this for fortification. And I mentioned this auction. I just want to say, take a deep breath. It was actually quite humbling. I'm not given to sort of platitudes really, and I was surprised because I was saying to people, I actually initially hoped to get £600 to raise that for charity, and then I was already getting people saying, well, I'll give you some donations and I'll bid this, and a couple of pre-bids, and I started to think it might go higher, and I thought it would be between 800 and 1,000, and this is why we talked about my wife saying, if you can get to 1,000, I'll give you champagne. We'll open a bottle of champagne. And of course we doubled that. So I think I deserve a second bottle. Don't think she's going to agree to that. But she realised the way it was going. She actually opened the champagne early. I think we got to already to about £800, and it was only about a quarter of the way through, third of the way through. So that's the way it went. But the generosity of people has really surprised me. I did have a couple of negative comments just before it started, which probably shocked people really. Somebody said I was bringing politics into it, and I was very careful not to do that, I think. This was no different from, if there'd been a horrible tsunami or an earthquake or something in terms of who it's going to help. It's not going to any military organisations at all. I was very careful to avoid that, and that's why it took me a long time to choose where for the funds to go. Anyway, as we speak, this is 24 hours later only. I'm going to review the Litaki Tu-23 bomber, which I actually sold. This was lot 1 in the auction, and this was sold in sort of 10 minutes at the start of the auction. And yet it's just arrived today. So this was actually bought by Bobby G, who bought 3 items and was very generous. A very enthusiastic participant indeed, along with most of you. And he bought this, and I was right, because I said I believe this is going to arrive imminently. I thought it would arrive on Wednesday, and it's actually arrived. Today's Tuesday, so it arrived the very day after the auction. Anyway, I think he chose wisely. It looks like quite a nice kit. I've only just taken the lid off and had a quick peek, but that's all. Anyway, so the auction was mind-blowingly successful. It almost started to feel. I mean, there was 2 of us doing it, and it felt like we needed about 22. The problem was, you inevitably, you've got 2 ways of doing those auctions. I've seen them done by other people. I've seen car auctions and all sorts. And some auctions are just so boring to watch because nothing's happening and it's just long silences. And it's hot. I hate that. But you mustn't just blabber. So I kept focusing on talking about the product, and Jason was very helpfully focusing on what the reaction was and what the bids were, which is what was critical really. And we sort of went longer and longer with each bid, especially toward the end, because we deliberately planned it so that it was a schedule that we started off with the affordable pocket money kits. This wasn't really that affordable, but this was new, and we put this as number 1 because it was the odd one out not being there. So somebody bought something they hadn't seen apart from a photograph. He won't be disappointed. Anyway, and then it ramped up, of course, and we got some really desirable stuff, and we got bids of, £160, £200. 2 of the Marauder base kits were £200 each were bid. you know, 3 times the value, certainly 3 times the value of one of them, more than 3.5 times. Quite amazing, and some incredibly generous spirit coming through from people, and I think it was really all to do, it wasn't so much the kits, it's like I said, it was people seeing the charities I'd suggested, I think many of you probably had a look at those websites and thought, actually, you know, yeah, these people are doing some good work and we need to help them. It wasn't really about kits at the end of the day. I think kits were just like the drug that brought people in. But I think the second drug is the bidding frenzy, you know. I think people enjoyed it, you know. But I never dreamed in a million years that I was going to raise £2,000 from, you know, kits that probably cost, in cost terms, not to me, but manufacturing cost, probably cost 10% of that, actually. Quite remarkable. I've got no plans to do another one, not for a very long time anyway. I did enjoy it. I think there's learnings from this. I think that the other people like Phil Flory have done these auctions themselves before, and a lot of the things he's talked about that make it difficult were certainly true for us as well. Latency between StreamYard and then YouTube, and even YouTube's chat running ahead of the actual video, which is really weird. And it's very strange when you watch it back because people are way ahead of us in the chat, and we seem to be like we're about literally 1 to 2 minutes behind. But we were seeing it live, and I think there's 3 different time zones. There's the chat zone, there's the YouTube video zone, and there's the StreamYard video zone. So you've got 3 different time zones. It's fucking weird. Anyway, but yeah, I think it was. I think it went better than expected on many levels. To raise £2,000 is just mind-blowing to me. Literally double what I even dared to hope. Double. So maybe we've got a future career as an auctioneer. Maybe not. Anyway, quick slurp of this and let's get into this fantastic review. Or it may not be a fantastic review, but hopefully a fantastic kit. So this is Litaki. This is a company in Ukraine, which is why they were featured last night. They're on the Dnipro River. Quite a small company. Unlike ICM, they're very small. And this is their second iteration of the Tu-22 Backfire bomber, which is a Cold War era swing-wing nuclear bomber, jet-powered. And of course Ukraine inherited these when they left the Soviet Union, when the Soviet Union broke up. Anyway, quick swig. I think I deserve it now. Even if it's not champagne. It's a nice drop of Bordeaux. Very nice. So let us have a look-see. Now what this is, I mentioned there's a second iteration of this kit. The first one was the anti-ship version. This time it is the version which has got, and you have to forgive me if I get this wrong, but I'm there or thereabouts. I think it's the AH-133, which is a cruise missile, assuming you can see what I'm talking about. And I think it's a nuclear capable cruise missile, obviously not now, in the hands of Ukraine anyway. But it's quite a hefty looking thing under each wing on a pylon. And it also has electronic countermeasures, which the earlier versions didn't have. So it's kit number 144, because it's 1/44 scale, because they're a big monster these are. 144002. On the side we've got their other products, which one of these featured last night in the auction, the RO, the NJ-22, which is the twin-seat version of the Yugoslav sort of ground attack aircraft. We've also seen this one before, the single-seat version, and the original version of the Backfire, the Backfire-B anyway. It says on the side, usual blurb really, 173. Okay, are you ready for this? Just a second. I'm getting more than a bargain for here. Hope Bobby G that's bought this is sitting down. 173 photo etch parts. That's quite a lot, isn't it? Plastic parts 234. 3D parts 20, so it's got 3D resin in here as well. Now last time it was absolutely brilliant, so let's take a look. Yes, they do wrap things beautifully, don't they? They put them in this lovely bubble wrap, and they're nicely bagged, and they have some foam in as well to protect things. That's very good. Put that over there. Oh, the plastic is that like a a grey-green colour, which is different to the last one, I think. I think it's that colour. So we've got 3 bags of sprues. And then we've got, oh, this photo etches tiny parts, oh my god. It's one of the problems with very small kits, isn't it, I suppose? Everything's going to be tiny. So, before we get into the instructions, we've got, wow, that's like a photograph, that's beautiful. That's actually like a photograph. So we've got this beautiful colour photo of the artwork that you saw on the box to start with. It's actually been, yeah, you can see it's been laser printed, I think, actually. Or maybe even inkjet printed. It's got striation lines running down here, if I'm being really critical. But it's nice, actually. That would, in a frame, you know, on the wall, that would look really nice, quite handsome. You can see the old cruise missiles there very well. It's quite an imposing aircraft, this. Real beast. Then we've got our colour call-outs. Ukrainian Air Force at Poltava Air Base. Doesn't give a date, which is a little bit, yeah, it's a bit of a shame they didn't date it actually. Around the back. No, Poltava Air Base again. Doesn't give a date, perhaps it says here. Oh, it does, it does in the details here. Let me just read you this. It says here, the aircraft was operated by the 185th Guards Heavy Bomber Aviation Regiment of the Ukrainian Air Force at Poltava Air Base. In July 1998, the bomber attended the Royal International Air Tattoo at RAF Fairford. Hey, yeah, there's got to be some video on YouTube of that, surely. It is currently exhibited at Ukraine State Aviation Museum in Kyiv. I wonder if that's at the airport, Hostomel. Anyway, so that's Red 57, which I think is this one on this side. Then there's number 2. Sorry, that's Red 57 where my finger is. Then number 2, which is over this side. That one is operated by same squadron. This originally was Red 57, but later changed its tail to Blue 96. This was at the SIAD 2002 air show in Bratislava, Slovakia. And the airplane was transferred to the Aviation Museum in Kiev. The original tail number 57 was returned. So which one is actually there then? It makes it sound like they're both there. Is that right? Can't both be Red 57. And then third and last, which is the one here. It says the aircraft was operated at different times at the 52nd Guards Heavy Bomber Aviation Regiment of the Soviet Air Force at the Shaykova Air Base. The aircraft features the inscription Alexander Molodchi on the left side of the fuselage, commemorating the Soviet long-range bomber pilot, twice the hero of the Soviet Union, Alexander Molodchi, who was born in Lugansk, Ukraine. During World War II, Molodchi carried out 311 combat sorties, including 287 of them at night, most of them. In July 2000, the bomber attended the Royal Aviation Air Tattoo, RAF Cottesmore. It's near Rutland, isn't it? That's where the Harrier base used to be. The aircraft is currently exhibited at the Strategic Aviation Museum at Poltava in Ukraine. I wonder if this is there's been some footage of these being destroyed, and the enemy thought that they were actually live aircraft. Anyway, there we go. So we get a lovely bag here with all the goodies in it. Let's just get into it then. Let me move that over there for a second. We'll just move these sprues out of the way. It shouldn't take too long. There are actually quite a lot of sprues for a very small kit. So we've got the it's very nice. We've got this really nice little sort of a booklet that comes with these. They make a good effort, Litaki. They're a bit like ICM, but perhaps a little bit more glamorous looking, if you know what I mean. Like a colour brochure. It says this is the second 1/44 scale kit by Litaki. The second 1/44 scale kit by Litaki. It's not the second kit actually, is it? Because we've already had 3. I think it's just maybe there's been a delay in getting this one out or something, but that doesn't really make sense because we've already had 3 of them produced. Let's take it out of its bag. See how we get on. Take all these things out. Well, here we go. It looks nice though. It's a nice little quality package, is this? Stay tuned for our further news. We've got more kits on the way, 48th, 172nd and 144. On the back it says, after introduction, the Tu-22M3 Backfire-C into service of the Soviet Air Force, the Tupolev Design Bureau continued modernising the aircraft type. As a result, a new version was dubbed Tu-22M3, NATO reporting name Backfire-C. The aircraft features more powerful and fuel-efficient NK-25 engines. New configuration of air intakes and takeoff weight reduced by 2.5 tons, so it's lighter. Okay, 2.5 tons. That's like a big Range Rover weight, isn't it? Less. The airspeed increased by 500 kilometers per hour to 2,300 or 1.8 Mach 1.87, as compared to the Tu-22. So it's it's quite a big increase in performance. Whilst the flight range reached 7,000 kilometres. A total of 268 airplanes of this type were built. They remained in service with the Soviet Air Force until the Navy and their naval aviation, till the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Further to these events, Ukraine got 43 of these aircraft. Wow, it's a lot, isn't it? Stationed in air bases at Mykolaiv, Poltava, Priluka and Bilatsursk. Probably murdered that, but anyway. According to the Lisbon Protocol of 1991, Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty that was signed by Ukraine in 1992, the country had to eliminate all strategic means of delivering nuclear weapons. So all the Tu-22M3 airplanes of the Air Force were scrapped in 2003 to 2004. Bet they wish they had those now. Except for 2 aircraft which are now exhibited at the aviation museums in Kiev and Poltava. Very interesting, isn't that nice? Right, let's have a look at the kit then. So, zoom you in, give you a close-up of this. You can really get to grips with it. So we've got quite a few sprues, as I mentioned. We've got photo etch, we've got masks, we've got 3D parts. Looking good. We've got glue, we've got symbols. Look at these symbols. I talked about this in one of the other kits. Was it? I can't remember if it was Tacom or Rifle. They're utterly confusing. These are very clear. It's got glue with it dripping out. That's when you glue it. A big cross through it means don't do that, which is fair. Make a hole. All very logical symbols. I like that. So, here we go. So we're going to build up. It has basically like a pilot and navigator stroke weapons officer, so you've got to build up the 2 zones in the cockpit. You've got decals for the instruments going in there for the instrument panels. They also, of course, because they're based on nuclear weapons, they're a nuclear weapons officer and I think a flight engineer. So there's actually 4 seats. So it's got quite a lot of stuff going on here. A busy little crew area. It's telling you to use weight 30 to 50 grams. Which I think is brilliantly helpful. Far too few of the model companies actually telling you how much weight to add, and that's really bad. So that's exactly what you want to see, clear instructions. You're going to put that in, and then you've obviously got your nose gear bay going in underneath. Then we're going to start to build the basically the exhaust tubes. It looks like we might have a bit of photo etch here. Yes, it's recommended super glue, so I think we do. And you've got the tubes which are split in half, which I don't really like. I'd rather see those slide moulded, but anyway. Or just moulded in a tube, in the old-fashioned way. But you're going to put those in. You've got the afterburner rings there. Then you've got your intake ramps for the engines at the front. Both sides being constructed here. And then we're doing the gear bay areas here, going into the wing. I think the printing's very clear, but it's a little bit faint. I think if it was bolder, it might be better, to be honest. Then we're doing the sort of wall of the gear bay area, and you've got like a roof almost for it, just to block it off. And then we've got some of the trunking sort of guide vanes internally, and then some of the fuselage comes down in a section there. Bringing that down, then you've got your top fuselage coming down and your already made jet engine exits that you've prepared already. And then we've got the nose section coming on, which looks frighteningly like an F111 in this particular image, I've got to say. Does remind me of an F111 a lot, that does, Nardfark. Attaching that into the main fuselage. Is that the right way up? Yeah, it is, because it's a low wing, isn't it? It's quite an unusual design, this aircraft. And then you've got your 3D resin parts coming in. And then we've got the top, upper and lower wings, which appear to be in one piece swing wings. And then you've got your main tail section. And you've got, what's that? What is that? Is that the, it's part of the ducting for the... So it's not too clear what that is. And then you've got your tail planes coming in top and bottom. And then you're going to bring in all these things together. So you're going to bring in your shrouds over the top of the wing, over the top of where the swing wing area is. Do not glue that, obviously. And then we've got tail, and yeah, sorry, it's this thing here is it's where the electronic countermeasures pod is, isn't it? Then we have what's that? Like a couple of strakes underneath the tail area. And then we've got, I think they're all moving tailplane on these. That comes in at the back there. Almost looks a bit tornado-like, doesn't it? So, then we've got building up our gear and the gear legs. Nose wheel here. Nose wheel leg and nose gear. Wheel tyres, wheel rims. Yes, B and D. That's just telling you the paint guide. Then we've got the landing gear, left landing gear here. I'm building that up, and then it looks quite a complex landing gear, doesn't it? Actually, quite meaty. And then the opposite side, you've got your right hand side. Starboard landing gear, and then bring it on it. Got a lot of wheels, hasn't it? It's a little bit Concorde-like. Well, worse, it's more like an Antonov, actually. Yeah, it's got six tyres on each side. That's incredible. Okay. That's very interesting. So yeah, it's same again, doing the opposite side. Certainly must spread the load very well, I suspect, this one. And then you've got your gear bay doors coming in, which are huge, relatively speaking. Again, a bit like Concorde. And then you've got, you get into the meaty bit now. You're going to get into the nose, fitting of the nose gear and the nose wheel, nose gear, and the front gear cover and the actual doors. And then we start to use the mask set, which is included, of course, for some of these. Like you've got like a camera, or it's an infrared pod. I'm not quite sure what it is actually, but it's got a window at the front, like an infrared pod in it, IR pod. And then we're going to put in some pitot heads, lots of little sort of strakes and antennas. And it even shows you the angle that this should be at, which is extremely helpful. I like that. Then you've got your rear gun. I think I'm not sure if it's a turret on this. I thought it was an automatic one, actually. I'm not quite sure. Any experts on the Tu-22, please speak up. And it goes on the back, just above where the engines are. So it must be quite warm and very noisy. That's not a place to sit if you have a sensitivity of your hearing right above the engines. Gee. Then you've got these pods, and there's all sorts of little bulges and sort of antenna arrays and sensors going on there. And then you've got a couple of these wing strakes, which I always think make some of these Soviet aircraft look a little bit crude, these very huge chunky wing strakes. And you've got like an air fence almost, isn't it? You can see it there, going on between the end of the swing wing section. And I guess it's to help it with its low speed stability, that so the air doesn't bleed away. It stops the aircraft stalling, basically. Then you've got your cockpit coming over, which is a big section that you then use the masks on to try and just get the glass parts. Again, more antennas coming in here on the top. And then over here we've got some like PE areas that are going to go in, basically like vents, vented slats on top of the air intakes. And I think there's a couple, yeah, it's just showing you how the pitch distance is. That's quite helpful. And then Rotation of air and supply flaps and users. Yes, it has these little masks, I recall. Imitate the flaps by scribing the panel lines. Use masks as a template. Oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I like that too much, but anyway. And then we get into these missiles. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't tell us what it is. It doesn't give it a name, but I'm pretty sure they're called the AH-133, these cruise missiles. And they have quite a big, almost a bit like the Martel missile or Sea Eagle. They're sort of same size as that, I'd say, quite big. Going on a pallet, they have a folding tail fin underneath to give it clearance when it's taxiing on the runway and landing. And then you've got another type here that's actually a tank. Is that a tank or is that? See, again, it doesn't tell us, so I'll have to guess. It looks like it might be a countermeasures pod, in fairness. Two of those. It doesn't look like a missile to me, but I could be wrong. No, I think I'm wrong because it has actually got three. It's got a tail. It's got three tails, so I suspect that's actually a weapon of some sort. It's probably a glide bomb. And then here we've got conventional short bombs, non-glide type, which fit on pallets underneath the front of the fuselage. Very crude looking on a plane like this, it has to be said. But they do such a nice job, these Litaki guys. Look at the way that they've got the ordnance payload layout. It gives you complete clarity. And you've got a big choice of weapons options, so it's very nice, isn't it? And you've got your colours, bit of a colour guide at the end. All good stuff. Quite like that. I've got to say that's yes, that's rather impressive. They just make it feel a quality product by putting it in this sort of gloss paper style, which has got, you know, proper colour printing in it. It just feels a bit more upmarket than maybe an Airfix or an ICM or a Revell, to be fair. It has to be said, they've done a nice job with that. So what have we got here? We've got a little, I think probably won't get these out because I don't want to sort of mess them up. These have been purchased, remember, in the auction, so these are not my property, they are property of Bobby G. But look at this is these little, the fins, sorry, that are on the bombs, all the little bomb weapons. But just look at these, look how small they are. Oh, oh my lord, look at those. Oh, you're going to have some fun sticking those on, aren't you? Now, if I was going to be really critical, this is a trend thing, isn't it, I think, where, I mean, they look beautifully done, don't get me wrong. But I'm not sure that that's ideal. I can imagine this. Just look at the sheer tininess of them. They're absolutely minute. I mean, crumbs, I'll get a bit closer, look at that. I mean, really? You can have some fun getting those on. I mean, just getting them in your tweezers. The afterburner rings look really nice. But bearing in mind how small these things are, I think that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. Other side, we've got a mask set here in the grey. These white ones are these vent masks, which they want you to, slightly oddly, they want you to put them down on the fuselage and then actually scribe around them, which I don't really like the idea of, if I'm honest. Yeah, Oleg, if you're listening at Litaki, I would, this thing, I would kind of drop that if I were you. But the rest of it, love the masks. Just not sure about the number of PE parts. It's a little bit scary. And then we've got the decals, which I think, from what I can see here, they look rather nice. Now, bear with me because I'm trying to get in the back. It's going to be tricky. Now it's interesting that they have, I talked about those vents. They actually have an option as well where you can just put a decal on. So perhaps I take back what I said, because here's the decal option where you can just stick decals on, which I think will be fine at this scale. But here's our decals proper. Oh, aren't those nice? Those are alright, aren't they? Yeah, I like those. They're nice and bright. They're very sharply printed. You've got your instrument panels. Yeah, nothing not to like. They've got those nice, the emblem of Ukraine on the tail. Although I notice it's not quite the same as in the... Or is it just an optical illusion? It looks different. Look at the colouring of the tail emblems. The emblem of Ukraine. If I show you that and then I show you the artwork, you put them side by side, do you think they're the same? colour wise. I don't think they are. It's supposed to be white and blue, whereas now they're in white and yellow. I mean, this looks a little bit more like in combat service. Not that they ever were. Whereas this looks a bit more air show like again, doesn't it? A bit like we talked about with the ICM MiG-29 on the JDAMs. Anyway, that's what we have. Let's see me back so you're not staring at blurry green screen. But some nice extras, you know, for a kit that's relatively small. There's a lot of extras in there, aren't there? You've got mass sack, which you need. So that they're trying to sort of give something that ICM don't give you, perhaps. Quite nice, isn't it? Very nice. So I'll put that back in there and we'll have a look at the plastic proper. And then we shall give it our verdict. I seem to recall last time it did pretty well on the first B version. There you go, Bobby. All sealed up nicely for you, sir. Let's have a look at this because this has got some really nice parts in it, I think. No, I'll come to that last actually. Let's go to the big one. Figure out how to get in. Bit of a slurp of oil. Do you know, I'm so tired after that auction last night. I don't know whether it comes across, I needed so much energy, you know. I've got Jason there and he's like a wise old owl and I'm like a little hyperactive puppy, really. I was so wasted when I went to bed last night and I slept really well after that auction. I was just exhausted, really, mentally and physically. Mainly mentally, has to be said. So, but we're hoping to, I'm just going to say to Bobby, I'm going to have to just breach this. They put a sticker with the, it's just the model number. They put a sticker across the seal, so I have to break the seal. Yeah? See that? See what I mean? Here's the resealable bit, but the sticker's across it. So I'm going to be like Elsa in the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Don't break the seal. Then don't cross the seal, they said. Do not cross the seal. Oh, I just did. Sorry about that, Bobby. Apart from that, it'll remain mint. It's, I suppose it's so they can show that people have opened it. I like it in this colour. This is actually nice. It's like a grey-green. It's almost like, what do they call it? Bronze green. It's very, very nice. Have a check this out. So here we've got the nose section. It's got this strange sort of upturned nose, doesn't it, on the backfire. Quite a curious bit of aerodynamics, I'd say. Other side. I mean, I wish they wouldn't. I wish they'd just not have the whole nose split like that. I've not built one of these. Now these guys are interesting because they don't actually have pins and plugs. They just have the whole area flat, which probably makes it easier with something like this to get it aligned correctly. Time will tell. Then you've got your intake sprue, including the you got the reconnaissance. Sorry, the countermeasures pod here at the tail, which I don't think was on the B model. You've actually got two, haven't you? You've got one there. That's the tail section, and this is the lower tail. This is the big pod, just above where the gun turret is. So it's quite meaty, and it must have a lot of jammers and all that kind of thing. Whether they work or not, that's another matter. And then you've got these weapons. So this is one that is that the? Yeah, this is the this AH-133. I think it's called, the cruise missile. Complete with all the cruise missile fins, as you can see there. It's very nice. And then we've got our, now this is where it gets really interesting and the quality is really very impressive. We've got here our, this is the underside obviously, where the gear comes out, but you've got some beautiful panel lining here. Look at that. That is really nice. You gotta remember, it's a very small scale kit, this. But they haven't treated it like a small scale kit. You know, you get a Revell in 144. Well, less said about that the better, really. Although somebody told me that the Eagle, the F-15, is quite good in that scale. I don't think that's true or not. I'm not seeing one. Don't think I've ever reviewed that. There we go. So that is the main sprue. I'll try and get it back to Bobby as best I can. As he is the owner, and very kindly gave me permission to just go ahead and do what I was going to do anyway, and open it up for your benefit. There we go. I almost got it off in one piece. It's not easy. Now look at the way they're doing this thing where they're wrapping, perhaps there's some sharp parts here. It's the front end of the tail, and they want to make sure it doesn't catch on things. That is very, very good thinking, isn't it? Just slide it away. Yes, it is. Yeah, they've got a super sharp piece of tail here, and they are desperately trying with their packaging, and succeeding, I would say, in protecting it. So it just slides back in. But isn't that nice? That's good design, good packaging design as well. Just pop that back. And then we've got our all moving tail planes here. Then we have our wings. Swing wing. It doesn't look a million. It does look a bit like the F-111, even the wing to me actually, interestingly. It's like a big F-111, isn't it, in some respects. And then you've got these are the inserts for the lower wing here that go inside there. But again, some nice panel line detail. Done that pretty well, haven't they? Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And they've also done, this is the trunking for the engines. And this, I think, I'm right in saying that, aren't I? Or maybe it isn't. No, it's the internals of the wheel, but the gear wheel bay. My mistake. And then we have got our a lot of small parts. a lot of small parts, including all these little seats. Zoom in because they are tiny, aren't they? This scale. So there's all the crew seats there and there. Very nice. And we have got our jet pipes. Sorry, the exit there for the surround for the jet pipe exits. You've got bits of the nose gear leg, and what else have we got? Nose gear bay here. There we go, there's the bay. It's got some quite nice detail in there actually. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, but a lot of tiny parts. You're going to have to be... It kind of reminds me in some respects, all these little tiny bits. It reminds me of that gas patch models, the ME163B Comet at 72nd scale, which was made all in resin but was absolutely minute. Some of the parts are terrifying to me. I can just imagine those pinging off in here all over the place. Never to resurface. Excuse me. I like the way Litaki did in the packaging. It's simple, but it's very clean, it's very effective. It's very smart, very bright. I quite like the colour they've used as well. Last one then. I did my best. Right, now then, this is where it gets really interesting. Resin part. You're going to forgive me because I'm going to swap to my other glasses. Swig of wine. Cheers, by the way. Hope you enjoyed the auction. I know a lot of people... excuse me. A lot of people have been sending some wonderful well wishes about it, saying how much they enjoyed it and how amazing the success was, which I didn't really see that coming. I thought it'd do okay, but I never dreamed it would have that level of success. Not remotely. It's double what I was even hoping for, really. Just a few model kits. I mean, we turned it into £2,000 worth of charity aid relief, basically. Incredible. So thanks to all of you, because you're the ones that dug deep into your pockets and were very generous, and there was a community spirit there and a real desire to do something. Now then, swap to these, I think. Oh, lovely. Now then, here we have the lower. Is it the lower or is it the upper? It was a little bit difficult to tell. No, it is actually the lower. Yeah, it's the lower the lower section of the fuselage. And again, we've got some very fine, we do this very fine panel lining. Now the only thing I would just question, and I'm not criticising at all because I just don't know, but it seems to stop when it gets to the sides. There's no detail on the sides, can you see that? I don't know if that's accurate or not, to be honest. I have a bad feeling it might not quite be accurate. I've got a feeling that there should be a bit of panel lining up the sides. Then we've got the engines, but look at the detail you've got in these engine tubes. Say, I didn't like the fact they come in two pieces. See what I mean? But it's, you know, beautifully moulded. And then we've got all these wheels. Now remember, oh, look at the size of them. God, they're tiny, aren't they? Even though they've got quite big wheels. And they have 6 of them on each side, so that's 12. Gosh. And they've split them in half. I'm not sure about that. I'd rather have them as one piece, but anyway. Pylon stroke pallets here. You've got some little bomb tails for the bombs there. And then for the smaller weapons, smaller bombs, you've got these little pylons here. Then, these are the bombs. These are the bombs. And they come with... Now this is interesting because they've got like sway braces here. So it's basically a set of... They're like little bomblets, aren't they, actually? Like anti-light infantry stroke tank armour bombs. And then finally we have the top here. Now, I do find this very strange. They have this very strange texture in the plastic. Can you see that? It's not a fault on the surface, it's within the plastic itself. It's almost like a slight chemical reaction's gone on. Can you see that? It's like a silvery starring or petling effect. But I'm pretty confident that won't be visible. It's not on the surface itself, it's actually within it. So once that's painted, it's going to go away. Again, you see a similar sort of thing here. But that's also not on the surface, it's within the plastic. That's probably where two different bits of pellets have melted at different rates, but nothing wrong with it. Got your engine, I think this is at the front end, this is the compressor blades for the engine, and then you've got this is the areas where you've got the instrumentation inside the cockpit. Very nice. You know, you've got to remember it's a small scale is this kit, and that has to be taken into account. Think about other kits at this scale. You don't get too much detail. But there's plenty here. Now then, finally, we will get over to the moment of truth. And I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made last time. I was a little bit critical of Oleg, and I said, "Oh, why have they made these in resin? They just look the same, you know. They could have been just injection molded plastic." And then I was not wearing these very high magnification glasses. When I did put some on later, sorry, it wasn't that. It was when I watched the review. I watched the review, sorry, and I watched the playback, and I thought they look really good. What are you talking about? Because I was saying there was no internal detail. Because my other glasses that I normally wear on the desk here, they just couldn't pick it up. I genuinely couldn't see it. It's very subtle. And I think the camera is going to pick this up again like it did last time. It's subtle, but there is internal detail on the walls of those jet pipes if you look carefully. There definitely is. They're like kind of fluted and to take the sort of petals that take the heat resistance from the afterburner, and you can clearly see that if you look carefully. It's definitely there. So that is. So I take it back. I owe Oleg an apology. So I think he lost a quarter of a point for that. I was sort of saying, what's the point? Well, there clearly is a point. So 10 out of 10 on that for him. But look at these. Something very special here. I think you're going to like this. More 3D printed resin, and this time it's the small bombs. Can you see those? Those are exquisite. Aren't they nice? That's amazing. They're really fine. And look at the fine detail there. You're not going to be able to replicate that in injection moulding. It's just too fine. They've even got the kind of open veins that you can make it out on this camera. Little open veins in the back of the actual tail of the bomb. Quite remarkable. There's 3 of these. They're an absolute revelation. They're absolutely beautiful. So you've got those, and I think you've got the injection moulded plastic with the bits with the nose of the bomb. So those are something a bit special that we didn't really see on the other. Didn't see it like that on the other one, did we? And finally we've got the clear parts. Now this is where, especially new manufacturers, really tend to come a little bit unstuck, if we're honest. But the packaging is beautiful with this lovely foam. Let me just, I'll put my other glasses back on in a second. Let's have a look. Oh, there's nothing wrong with this. Oh, this is really nice. Yeah, I think it was the same last time actually. Just take a good look at this. It's very, very subtle. And of course it comes with this mask set to enable you to paint it. But it's very bright, it's very clear. No bad distortion. Maybe a little bit just down at the bottom edges, but no, it's very, very nice. Very bright looking. Sharp. It's a quality clear part, that is. That's nice. It's like they've taken a leaf out of the ICM book. And then over here you've got this like a flare pod or window, like a laser scanner window or whatever, camera window. And there you have it. And the other one's just like a light, I think. But that is very beautiful, I would say. I think this is going to get a very high rating actually, because there's not much not to like. It's just, maybe because it's smaller, maybe it's a bit limiting how much detail you can add into them when they're such a small scale. Beyond that, I don't think there's much you can find wrong with it really. My only concern is how I'm going to get that back in there. How on earth did that go in? Did that go in like that? Something has changed since I got this out, I think. I think it's misbehaving itself. Bear with me a tick, folks, because I want to get this back in for Bobby. It's his kit. And I don't think that's what I'm going to go in there in a million years, actually. Unless I really tension it up. It came out and it was pretty tight, and now it's going to be even worse. Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to play more. Yeah, we have a bit of a problem there. In fact, I'm going to remove the foam because it's actually making things more complicated. I'm going to put it in that way. And I haven't touched it, of course, so it's got no marks on it. I think it's just safer if I do that. It's perfectly fine, and I'll put that. Is that the way it came? I bet you're all shouting at me saying that's the way it came, you idiot. Ah, okay. I've just realised. Yeah, it was wrapped around the outside, wasn't it? Like this. They're like a puzzle, aren't they? A riddle. Puzzle within a riddle, etc, etc. What's wrong with it, am I? It doesn't want to go in. Sorry about this. Talk amongst yourselves, you know, it's one of the hazards of live TV, this kind of thing. But it is going to work, I'm confident. In the end. There we go. We got it in the end, yeah, that's a bit tricky. Anyway, good enough, I think. More than adequate to protect it, that is. Right, so what we're going to say, I'll do all the packaging later in terms of things like the bubble wrap. So we want that to go back to be safe in transit. But what a nice collection of things that was. What do you think? I think there's a little bit. The only concern I've got about it at all is just this slight like a detail on the sides. It's like they don't think it should have any panel lining on the side, and I think that's a slight mistake. But apart from that, it's got beautiful clear parts. It's got mass, it's got everything you need. There's bomblets, like small bombs, are absolutely epic, aren't they? They're so finely moulded. So let me take these off. I can see you a bit better. There we go. But they're so well done, aren't they? It's such a nice, fine, cleverly thought out kit. It's got that beautiful tailpipes and little gun turret at the back. It's nice, isn't it? I'm going to give that 9.75 out of 10. Because apart from that slight lack of detail down the side, it's kind of flawless, really. It's flawless. Well conceived, beautifully packed, fantastic instructions, nice decals. It's a winner, isn't it? So there you go, 9.75 out of 10 for me. Hope you'll give me a 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up. Don't forget, those of you that would still like to support the auction, to support these Ukraine charities that I've spoken about, it's not too late. You know, I think it may be a week before the money gets completely collected. We've got about 90% of it in already, actually, so we're doing very well. But there's still one or two stragglers, you know, people that are perhaps busy with other things. But there's no reason why people can't just make a small donation if you're abroad, for example. Don't feel obviously the kits are gone now, but you know those charities, it would really further boost the funds that we've got. If you'd like to just make a small donation, you can make it anonymously, or you can say you want to be known, but we won't declare what the amount is, so you don't need to worry or be shy about it. Anything you want to give is very welcome. Just email me at mrmatchboxes@gmail.com. And that's obviously, and unlike during the auction when we had that very bad camera, we have a good camera now, so you will be able to see this when I show it to you. There we go, that's my email address. That's everything you need to know, mrmatchboxes@gmail.com. So that's me. Feel free to please continue supporting it. I say I'm not going to shut the book on it just yet because we've got some more money to collect, but it's gone very well, and it's just been fantastic how the community's come together. People have recognised that there's an issue there, and why don't we have some fun. We had a very good night on Bank Holiday Monday. I'm still very tired. I'm going to sleep. I know I'm going to sleep like a log again tonight. I think it's because you're sort of hyped up. It's not so much the physical thing, it's just mental. And I was going a bit mental, to be honest. So many things to try and remember, and so many things to try and cover, and there's only 2 people doing it, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But it's fine, because we did a great job, and at the end of the day, the contributors, all the people that donated and bought the kits, I'm sure they're going to be seeing those very soon. We start dispatching them, I think, on Thursday. There's so many to be packed up, It's a bit of a nightmare, actually. So we'll start the distribution on Thursday. The first ones will go out Thursday and Friday, possibly Saturday too. So by early next week, you'll all have your kits, I'm sure. Anyway, apart from the 1 or 2 that have asked me to hold them back for various reasons, meeting up with them later in the year, or they're on holiday and things like that. Thank you very much. Really, sincerely, quite stunning the way that people supported it. And I think it just gives us a nice sort of teamwork sensation of everybody pulling together, really, and doing something that's makes modelling seem a bit more significant than just playing around with plastic models. And all the people that have made that contribution, and even if you bid and you didn't succeed, it doesn't matter, you took part. Really appreciate that. And bad luck if you didn't win them, but thank you for bidding, because it all helps to drive the price up, and ultimately that creates the funds that we can now pass on to Ukraine, and that's really nice. So those dogs and cats and other animals and all those people, more important still, are going to get the support that they desperately need until that horrible conflict goes away. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Bobby G, thank you very much for letting us see this, even though you bid on it and won it, even though you hadn't seen it. I think you'll agree that it was, I'm trying to remember what you paid for it now. Was it £50? I think it was £45-50 or thereabouts. I think you'll agree that's not a bad value at all, because you get everything in the box. You don't need to go for any aftermarket with that. It's a real kicking, and with a nice paint job, it'll look pretty impressive. And And as I say, my only criticism, well, I think that's probably not going to be as noticeable on such a small kit anyway. So I don't think it's really got any major issues at all. I think it's a really nice kit. So Oleg in Litaki, well done to you, sir. You've got a 9.75 out of 10, which is pretty close to the ultimate, you know. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and until next time, there will be, sorry, this is not really an official after the auction show. I'm going to do a follow-up show. Once we've got all the money in for the auction, I'll update people again later, and I'll show the donations and all this kind of thing in due course. So stay tuned for that. That'll probably be mid-May, I think, mid-late May. But thank you all for supporting it and your contributions and your generosity. Everybody was absolutely brilliant and a really good night, didn't we? Anyway, until next time, there's one or two videos I've already filmed coming up. We've got a Formula 1 car, we've got some brilliant armour, which has got to be seen actually from that I've actually loaned from one of our friends. Brand new though, brand new items. Very, very impressive. So stay tuned because there's plenty more interesting things coming up. Until next time then, thank you very much for watching. Stay well, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. In the meantime, thanks a lot, and bye for now.